Broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Here's your host, Andrew Romanella.
Okay? Like, just get the hell out of here. Nobody cares what you think if you're not a Mets fan.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome into a Monday edition of the Rome Show, broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. We got you for the next 25 or 30 minutes, and we are talking World Baseball Classic and March Madness. It's that time of year when it feels like every single sport that could exist, that could be in session, is in session, including the NFL, who hits their season year opening today and officially the start of what will be a wild off season. You want to get in on the action, youtube.com/the Romanellas. That's youtube.com/the Romanellas. Thank you to the people that hit subscribe over the weekend. Looking to keep gaining those subscribers, head over to youtube.com/the Romanellas. Hit the subscribe button and support the page. Twitter, X, Instagram, The Rome Show 1. That's The Rome Show. Then the number 1. Hit the subscribe button there. Follow, whatever. It all means the same thing. Facebook.com/The Rome Show. The World Baseball Classic is currently in pool play with a day or two remaining on those contests. Team USA currently sits at 2-0 in pool play with a contest tonight at 8 p.m. versus Mexico in game number 1 of the tournament. Team USA beat Brazil by the score of 15-5. In that game, Logan Webb threw 4 innings, gave up 1 hit, 1 earned run, had 6 Ks, and was replaced by Michael Wacha, Spencer Strider, then Matt Miller to round out the pitching for Team USA. 2 hits apiece for Kyle Schwarber and Roman Anthony. Aaron Judge also went deep in the first WBC game. Bryce Harper picked up a hit. Few others as well. In game 2, Team USA defeated Great Britain 9-1. In that contest, Tariq Skubal, who we'll talk about in a second here, he threw 3 innings, gave up a leadoff home run, and then after that, shoved. So did the entire pitching staff. Tariq Skubal gave up a leadoff home run to start this game, and then for the remaining 27 outs of the contest, the pitching staff for Team USA, Holmes, Bednar, Jackson, Keller, combined for 1 hit and 0 runs. They also amassed 12 Ks, actually 17 technically, because that's all after the first swing of the game. So Team USA sitting on a 2-0 record while they lead Pool B. Now, Mexico, they're also at 2-0. Italy, they're also at 2-0. So Team USA is arguably in the best pool in the WBC. Team Puerto Rico, they and Cuba are tied 2-0 in the Pool A version of the WBC. In the Pool B version, aforementioned United States, Italy, both sitting at 2-0. Mexico as well at 2-0. They finished a victory off last night. And then Pool C, you got Japan winning it at 3-0. And then a battle between Australia, who's got 2, Meg shout out, 2-1 victories right now. And then Pool D, Venezuela, 2-0. The DR, 2-0. Big win late last night for Team Israel to knock off Nicaragua to get their first win of the tournament. Nicaragua out. And that is where the WBC currently stands. Some things to know about the WBC that I don't know if many people know. First off, okay, the WBC was a response internationally to the Olympic Committee at the time taking baseball and softball out of the Olympics. Since the year 2000, baseball and softball I've been calling a fringe Olympic sport. We didn't see baseball in the 2016 Olympics, okay? But we did see baseball in the 2024 Olympics. Okay, 2022, excuse me, then 2024 Olympics. And now we will see the return of baseball in the 2028 Olympics. But that was not the first time baseball had been taken out of the Olympics. It's not the first time it'll be put back in the Olympics, but it's not one of those mainstay sports when it comes to the international stage. Okay? It's not a skiing, a snowboarding, a basketball, swimming. It's an America, or American, I should say, pastime. So the relationship between baseball and the Olympics has been an up and down one for a long time. So the World Baseball Classic is created in 2006 to create an international stage, to create world competition for the sport of baseball, to see, as we love to do, what the best country in the world is at the game of baseball. So the WBC in its 20th year, I think, has truly hit benchmarks of popularity, of excitement, and I think of most importance, player buy-in. Okay, because yesterday, Tariq Skubal, 2 days ago, Tariq Skubal threw his first round, allotted start, no more than 55 pitches, because there is a pitch limit on these guys. No more than 55 in the pool play round. No more than, I believe it's 80 in the quarters. And no more than 95 pitches thrown in the championship round because of the spring training mesh as we get ready for Major League Baseball season. But with player buy-in, it changes the care level of a tournament. And Tariq Skubal comes out after his first start against Great Britain and says, well, hold on a second here. I don't think I realized what type of emotions would be pulled up after pitching for Team USA in game number 1 or 2 of this series, whatever it was. So now, the guy that was supposed to be back in Detroit Tigers spring training yesterday has stayed with Team USA in Houston, has started to throw again in preparation for a second start, and is in conversations with the Detroit Tigers and agent Scott Boras regarding what the decision should be for Tariq Skubal in terms of pitching for Team USA in the quarterfinals or going back to Detroit and getting prepared for the Tigers season. And this situation right here and lies the largest issue with the World Baseball Classic. Some of you, maybe you're not, I have no idea, but you're watching the World Baseball Classic and you're saying, where are some of the best teams in the league? Excuse me, where are some of the best players in the league? Where's the Carlos Correa? Where's the Francisco Lindor? Where's the Edwin Diaz? Where are these players? Well, because of the timing of the World Baseball Classic and because of the guarantees that Major League Baseball players get in terms of their contract, what does that mean? If I start opening day and I'm the starting shortstop for a team and I tear my knee up and I'm out for the season, the team is on the hook to pay the entirety of my salary, regardless of me being injured. Okay? Where when you go to the World Baseball Classic, because technically playing for Team USA, the Netherlands, Mexico, the DR, whatever the country is, it's like a breach of contract when it comes to your job and your professional contract. So when the WBC was created, Major League Baseball bought insurance to insure each contract from each player, okay? So that if they got hurt during the WBC, there was an insurance company called NFT, I believe it is. Maybe it's NFP, one of the two. Sounds like those online pictures that became really big for a while. You know, when the crypto was starting to rise, we started getting, I think they were called NFTs. Somebody out there that's smarter than me, correct me on that, but like they're like the animated photos. Nonetheless, it's not the same thing. This insurance company was the only insurance company willing to create an insurance package for Major League Baseball so that these players could be insured and play for their country. We deal with this a lot when it comes to international play, okay? One of the major conversations around the Olympics a few weeks ago was the usage of NHL players when it came to competing on the world stage. There has to be stipulations in the CBA for the National Hockey League that outlines how it's possible for their employees, because that's what it is. These baseball players, these hockey players in these moments, though they want to believe they can make any decision that they want to play for their country, they are the property of their organization that owns their contract. And when you're talking about losing fully guaranteed money, no matter what the injury is, it's a really hard decision to say, well, do I go play in the World Baseball Classic, which, no disrespect to the World Baseball Classic yet, it's getting there, isn't necessarily the feel of the Olympics. It's not a World Cup. It's got none of that feel. Well, now it's starting to get that feel. But at the beginning of this thing, it didn't have that feel. Okay? So to believe a player is going to take the risk to lose their fully guaranteed contract for something that they didn't fully believe in as it was getting created makes plenty of sense. But now these players want to play in the WBC. These players want to represent their country. So this is the plan. But the problem is the insurance company controls the narrative, okay? So they put some stipulations on who they will cover in the WBC and who they will not cover. Here are some of the stipulations. You can't be over 37. That's it. Simple. You cannot be over 37. Andrew's got 2 more years of coverage under the WBC. Guys, if you've been on the IL within the last 60 days, they will not cover you. If you have an injury that they consider chronic, they will not cover you. If you ended last 2 of 3 games of last season on the IL, they will not cover you. And if you were on the IL from September 1st through the end of this season last year, they will not cover you. And some other things in the fine print. But that is the tough part about this international competition. It's not always guaranteed you're going to get the best players, because playing for your country, despite what somebody wants to hear, is arguably not as important as playing for your professional contract. Because if I'm making $13 million a year playing for the Kansas City Royals, and I'm making $0 competing for a World Baseball Championship for Team USA, and I know that if I play for Team USA and I get hurt, I can forfeit that $13 million contract. That's a hard decision to make. And there are some players, good for their ball clubs, that are getting their salary covered for. I believe someone from the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Diamondbacks have claimed that they will cover his contract if he gets hurt. And there might be 1 or 2 others out there. But think about the risk that an organization has to take in order to cover a player that the NFT insurance will not cover. Those are the difficult aspects of dealing with these international tournaments during the regular season of the professional sports league. Meg writes in, great question, Meg. I don't know the answer to it. So Sid the kid got hurt. He is still paid while not playing for Pittsburgh. I don't know what the National Hockey League insurance stipulations are. My guess would be that there is some type of protection both for Sidney Crosby and for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, don't quote me on that, Meg. We'll do a little bit of research, but my guess would have to be with the NHL pausing their season for 2 weeks so that the NHL players could play in the Olympic Games. There has to be some type of plan in place for what happened to Sidney Crosby when we did the Four Nations, what happened to the Kachuk, what happens to, I think Charlie McAvoy felt like his career almost could have been over after Four Nations. So I don't know, Meg, if the NHL does it, but under the premise of Major League Baseball, yes, Sidney Crosby's entire contract would be covered this year. How do they define chronic? I have a 25-year-old ankle issue. I guess they would not cover me. My guess in the chronic sense would be the doctor simply makes that decision. You know, I'm guessing there's probably, and I say this all the time, and Meg, as always, thank you for the write-in. We missed you the last 3 days. I always say this, like, at the end of the day, whatever the doctor writes on that note, most people in sports are going to follow. So if you got a doctor that is simply saying this person has been ailing with this for a long time, I got to imagine if you're on a certain size contract, this is not what Major League Baseball and their insurance company want to cover. And it's an interesting conversation because it's one of those things where you just think these guys make a decision to say, hey, I want to play for Team USA. I'm playing for Canada. Let's ride. And it's like, yes and no. Because again, Major League Baseball is their employer. Their profession is baseball player and their boss is Major League Baseball. That is the tough part. When you become a professional, it's almost better to be an amateur when it comes to the opportunity to play for country because you truly are not choosing to potentially lose anything. So if you're sitting at home while we're getting ready for the quarterfinals and you're like, why the hell am I not watching X player for Venezuela or Y player for Puerto Rico or C player for Team USA? Look into their contract first. Then look into all those stipulations and see if they were even able to be insured. I can assure you that if you watch college basketball during the month of March and the first 2 weeks of April, it literally does not matter. It doesn't matter. If you watched an ounce of college basketball leading up to it, March Madness is madness, and it's underway right now, and we will break it down on the backside of this commercial break. But first, we remind you that as you get ready for golf season this spring and summer, you got to get the apparel right. What's the statement? You look good, you feel good, you play good. Well, you're going to head to figtreegolf.com. That's Fig Tree Golf, just like the fruit, figtreegolf.com. And when you get to the apparel you want to put in your cart, you're going to use promo code Andrew Romanella. Super simple. Figtreegolf.com, promo code Andrew Romanella at checkout, and you will receive 15% off your order. Head to Fig Tree and get your game right for the 2026 season. Use promo code Andrew Romanella at checkout. We'll be back after this. The Rome Show. Stay with us.
What is one thing every great leader has in common? They challenge their people to not stop at the first right answer. Tighten the Lug Nuts is a leadership book that will teach you how to move past the first right answer with entertaining and detailed examples founded in real-world concepts and experiences. Accelerate towards your professional goals with Tighten the Lug Nuts, one of the best leadership books available.
Yeah. Welcome into the Rome Show. Andrew Romanella. It's a Monday. Fire me up. YouTube.com/the Romanellas, Twitter X, Instagram, Facebook. So many ways to listen to the show. All you need to do is hit subscribe on one of them, and you'll get us every single morning. It gets difficult sometimes during baseball season, people, okay? If you are somebody out there, and I can't imagine many people out there in 2026 can really afford to live without having like 6 jobs, right? So I got to imagine most of the people listening to the Rome Show are much like myself and my beautiful fiance, where it feels like we work like multiple jobs just to make the ends meet, you know? And you show up for some jobs and you're like, man, I'd rather do this other job, but this job pays me all the money so that I can live, but this job makes me happy and it's more fun to make this money. Well, that's what the Rome Show is for me. The Rome Show is my slow and steady wins the race. The Rome Show is my future retirement plan, God willing. The Rome Show is my, though I think I love it more than anything else I do, sometimes. Unfortunately, it's got to take a back seat sometimes because of my actual job. Much like we just talked about on the front side of this show. If you missed it, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, we were talking insured contracts for international play, more specifically the World Baseball Classic. Listen, if my contract was insured and it said, hey, listen, you could show up to work every day so you could do this radio show and there are no consequences, fire me up, right? But the true conversation there is not about my other job or lack thereof. It's more about the fact that we all have to do that to survive. I'm not going down that road. That's a really who grinds my gears. Nonetheless, I did a little bit of research at the break. The NHL has a health insurance group that covers general health care costs for players and their dependents. The plans includes life insurance coverage amounting to $1 million per pair of players. Additional death insurance is covered. The NHL also provides off-ice insurance benefits during the Olympics. So I don't know. That didn't fully answer our question, Meg. It sounds like there is a type of insurance policy. So it's interesting. What the plan is for each league comparative to their international play. Like when it comes to basketball, their international plays in the summertime, you know? So I feel like the conversation isn't as deep in terms of what happens with their contracts and what not. March Madness underway, baby. And there are tickets being punched. So far, we have Ohio Valley Conference, Tennessee State, the Northeast Conference, Long Island University, the Missouri Valley Conference, Northern Iowa, Big South, High Point, ASUN, Queens University, former Division II school, jumped to Division I, and the Summit League, North Dakota State. Over the next week, up until Sunday of next week, you will be seeing all conference tournaments happening in basketball as the men's and women's bracket gets decided heading into Selection Sunday this weekend. One of the more interesting stories on the men's basketball side is the fact that Miami of Ohio basketball finished their season with a record of 31-0. However, they are not the favorite to win their conference. And there is a lot of speculation that if they do not win the conference tournament, they will not have a strong enough schedule for an at-large bid. Imagine that. Imagine going 31-1 and you lose in your conference semifinals or your conference championship game. You're 31-1. And the committee says, you know what? You're not good enough to make it to the NCAA tournament. And that in lies the problem, because we have this system that is centered around strength of schedule as much as it's centered around just simply playing the schedule you have and being really good in that schedule. This is why the NCAA wants to expand the tournament, because if it was a 76-team tournament, you're not even having a conversation about if Miami, Ohio's in if they don't win their conference tournament, because you know You've gained 8 spots, which are mediocre teams. We're not adding 8 spots to add 8 great basketball teams. We're adding 8 spots because the NCAA wants more revenue. They know that it matters to teams to make it into the tournament. So if they expand, there's more teams that can make it into the tournament, more teams that feel like they accomplished something, more programs that have taken steps forward. All of those things can be true while it also being a terrible decision. You're only going to water down the competition and make it harder for you to find the best team in the tournament if you have too many teams. But this scenario right here with Miami of Ohio is the reason this is even a conversation. And we've had this conversation with the college selection committee as well. And I don't know if you saw the news over the weekend, but Nick Saban spoke to Congress and the president of the United States, as the president is going to try and sign an order that can reorganize college sports because of how far gone we have gotten in this thing. I mean, think about the conversation we're having right now. A team has not lost a game all year, and it is undetermined whether or not they will make the postseason. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong in terms of them specifically. I'm saying that if there is a system that you can't just play your games, succeed, and move on, there has to be all the conversation and committees and all this other stuff. To me, I think it is a waste. I think college basketball and college football should hybrid themselves. Let's stop pretending like we're not a professional sport, but at the same time, let's stop pretending like we are just a professional sport. We are both. We are unfortunate or fortunate, and depending on how you look at it, worried about these kids in college as much as we are worried about them making NIL money and them being a professional. So let's hybrid the two. Find a way to make both things true. Okay? Maybe we have divisions. There's a West, an East, a North, and a South. And the top 16 teams in that division or region or however you do it is going to be who hosts the regional. Done. There's your NCAA tournament, okay? You either finish top 4 in your region, so then you get an automatic bid to the tournament, or seeds 5 through whatever play a conference tournament to see who wins or whatever the case is. I'm not saying that's right either. Could be the dumbest idea ever. But I do think this idea and this principle of a bunch of dudes get into a room and we decide if we think their schedule was strong enough or their KenPom rating was good enough, whatever the quad 6 wins, quad 2 wins, dumb. It should just be about playing the games and moving on. However, I sound like get off my lawn guy there because that is no longer the way of college sports. But if you need the president to step in and fix your sport, there is something seriously going wrong. Let's get to our weekend's best and our weekend's worst before we get out of here today. All right. Let's start with the weekend's worst, and we got 2 of them for you. Your first weekend's worst is the Detroit Pistons. And you might be saying to yourself, why is it the Detroit Pistons? Well, since the Rome show got off the air on Thursday, the Detroit Pistons have lost 3 straight, an overall total of 4 straight. They were coming off of 8 victories in 9 games and now have lost 4 straight, 3 over the weekend. In the 3 since Thursday, they lost by a combined 9.3 points per game. The Pistons, they still hold a 2.5 game lead on the Boston Celtics for the first spot in the East, a 5 game lead over the New York Knicks. However, Celtics are 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 2 straight and are trending. You cannot afford, if you are this Pistons team, to go let this skid go deeper. The weekend's worst was the play of the Detroit Pistons. How about Danny Hurley, head coach at UConn, getting ejected for bumping an official? Now, Let me preface this by saying I do my own issues as a college baseball coach. I've served suspensions. I've been ejected. I understand where losing your mind happens. And sadly, there's nothing you can do about it. After the incident happens, you're like, oh man, I might get suspended for that one. Ooh, that's not good. Well, Danny Hurley has a serious problem of eviscerating officials. Like, it's almost kind of to the point where it's like, okay, buddy, you won 2 national championships. It's clear and obvious you're a really good basketball coach. But the way he loses his mind, first off, can we get some leeway in baseball? Okay, because some of these basketball coaches, they eviscerate officials. They lose their mind on the sideline to a referee, and they get a T, and everybody moves on. I'd be fired right now. I wouldn't have a job. I'm sure there'd be a lawsuit against me. I don't understand how he gets away with it, but I'm tired of watching it, okay? It's childish, it's stupid, and I think it's time, Danny, for us to walk it back a little bit in terms of how deep we go when we are eviscerating an official. So my second weekend's worst goes to Danny Hurley for bumping that official versus Marquette. Weekend's best. Oh, yeah, you are. Oh, and that's Team USA baseball, baby. 2 victories over the weekend. Looking hot. Paul Skeens takes the mounds for the boys tonight versus Mexico. And we are looking for our first World Baseball Classic Championship in the existence of the tournament. Great job at a Team USA jumping out to that 2-0 pool lead. However, like I said before, 3 teams at 2-0, so they got to win this game tonight versus Mexico. Team USA, let's keep simply. Yeah, you are. And what a roster they have. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the Rome Show on a Monday. Meg, I hope Formula One is fantastic. I see it started in Australia yesterday. Mercedes 1 and 2 fire. Shout out to Meg, our number 1 listener right now. Shout out to all of the Romo Sapiens out there tuning in on a daily basis. I love you. I appreciate you. You're the only reason why I still wake up and do this. I'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday, 7:10 a.m. Until then, hit thefigtreegolf.com. Use promo code Andrew Romanella, and peace.